Welcome to Flip the Script with Vic, a sacred space for honest, unfiltered, and sometimes taboo conversations between women walking the path of truth, healing, and soul remembrance. What started as my personal exploration has become a communal prayer, a podcast devoted to amplifying women's stories in their own words. I'm your host, Victoria Nielsen, intuitive healer, mama, and space holder for the divine feminine. Here, we gather as cycle breakers, mothers, mystics, creatives, witches, and wild ones, flipping the script on what it really means to be a woman in today's world. Through raw interviews, intimate solo casts, and brave conversations, we'll chat about motherhood, mysticism, psychedelics, spirituality, and more. You'll be reminded that your voice matters, that your truth matters, that you're here to walk in beauty. So be the prayer, and let's flip the script. Are you ready? Let's jump on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Flip the Script with Vic. It's your host, Victoria Nielsen. I am so excited, as always, to chat with another amazing woman this week, Mar Luecker. She is a trained Montessori teacher, human design expert, mama, energy healer, light worker, just a really beautiful grounded presence on this earth. And I'm so excited that we're going to chat human design and children today, because figuring out my children's human design was such a game changer for me, especially because they're completely different from mine. And then you add in, my husband, and it's crazy to think that people don't know their human design or are living in the dark about this. So I'm excited to chat today, Maura. Thanks for being here.
Oh, I'm so excited. I've been so excited for days as a generator type. I've been like, I cannot wait for this conversation. And well, when we met when I was living in the US, because now I'm back in Canada, originally from Mexico, but I've been in Canada for 20 something years. And I was I think we've met at such an important part of my life, particularly because I actually, when I went to the US, I healed a lot of my relationship with the US from a Mexican perspective. I also healed all the mother sisterhood wound. Like, it was just, I have so much love for the US. I just want to say that. It changed everything when I went there for a couple of years only to California. Yeah.
It was magical. That retreat was, pivotal for me too. That's where Monarch Mystery School was born from. And we just had such an instant connection.
Yeah.
I feel like we started talking and we just never stopped. Yeah. You were such a wealth of knowledge, and you were so open and honest, and it was really beautiful to see you kind of crack open and really let yourself receive the love that you deserve in those moments. And so I'm really grateful that you're here and that you get to share and spread that light with others today.
Yes. Yeah, it was so nice to meet so many of these other women as well. It was like a pivotal time for me as well. It was really, really nice. So what happened after that is that we landed back in Canada, and then I've been studying human design for a while. What is important for me to say, because I'm an educator, right? I've been 20 plus years being a Montessori educator, and I always knew I was gonna work with children. But I think what happened when I became a mother is that I paused so much of that passion that I had, because I knew how important it was for me to be there for my children, right? And we know it's overwhelming. We know it's new. I don't have any family around. My husband is from the Netherlands. We just are here on our own. So we don't have the extended family help that we all really need. We need those friends or neighbors, or I had great neighbors. So I kind of...
That's how I grew up, was by the village around you. So we don't have it here either, unfortunately, which is sad.
Oh, I thought you had it.
They're kind of close. They're close enough. Like, my mother-in-law is like 3 hours away, and my mom comes up a ton, but she's a flight away. But same, like, it's just us. But also too, like, we want to be such a pivotal part of our kids' lives, just like you, that we're there for every single moment, good and bad.
Yes, and what it happens is that it makes it a little bit more isolating in terms of you having time for you in the beginning, right? Then you adjust a little bit more. So I put that aside, like all of the things that I wanted to do. Before that, I started to develop my mediumship abilities that I was born with when I was really young. So for me, motherhood kind of brought back fears and things that I went through as a child in terms of that, because I used to feel things, I used to see things. I'm also feeling cognition like you. You're also feeling cognition. So we feel much more. Even though I'm not a projector, I'm not like focused. We feel the frequency of other tones. We feel people. So, and I'm getting shivers. So, being a child like that, and you don't have sometimes that understanding or feedback from your parents because, different generations, whatever, it doesn't matter. It was kind of scary for me. So, it was important for me to learn about these gifts and so I did.
When you were younger, did you turn them off? Or like, I remember I used to say at night I didn't want to have any dreams because I used to travel, like astral travel and dreamscape and all kinds of stuff. And like, I would have very lucid dreams. But I turned it off and I just kept saying over and over again before I'd fall asleep, I don't want any dreams. I don't want any dreams. I don't want any dreams. And like, as my intuition came back online after having kids, I had to reprogram that to say like, I want dreams. Like, it's okay to
Yeah.
dream because I literally had like slammed the door on it.
Yeah. It's very interesting because I was also born in Mexico. And Mexico is a beautiful country. I love my Mexico. But there's a very heavy Catholic background there, right? So at that time, we're talking about more than 40 years ago. Like, it is a different time. And so even though I was brought up with my own freedom in my faith, because I have an Aquarius grandmother who manifested, won the lottery, like incredible woman, came from very little, like an amazing person. And I was like, abuela, I don't really want to go confess my sins to a priest. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And she would be like, okay, Mariana, it's okay. So I was brought up like that, but I was brought up with faith. But at the same time, the background frequency of that is exorcism and is like it's evil and is bad. And so all of that added to my fear of what I was feeling, and I couldn't understand it. Plus all the things that I was feeling in my body and seeing. And my mom, mostly because she's a Pisces moon, was very intuitively always asking me and wanted to kind of redirect me because I was struggling with nightmares, right? And I was struggling with like, I don't want to see things. I would just talk to, God or the universe. I say, I don't want to look at this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to feel this. So yeah, we eventually shut it down because we cannot deal with that energy. And I did not want my kids to go through that way. That's I don't know which gifts they have, but if they share something with me, I want to give them tools. I want to talk about boundaries in dreams, all these things that I did not have. So I really constantly, no matter their energy type, no matter their astrology, I just call them into their power, and I tell them it's going to take time, but you are the one who chooses and dictates your energy and invites or not. But it's going to take time, and you're protected, you're safe. If they come and tell me I'm so afraid of this, or I had this dream, or so yeah, that's kind of I am with you there. It was difficult. It was difficult. And then I started to control my dreams. So then I learned. You
I did the same thing. I learned that you could like. I used to call it like changing the channel. Like I would make it like it was like I could feel myself blink almost, and I could change it to like whatever. It's so funny. I was just talking to Sebastian about this the other day because he was saying something about his dream. I don't know that it was scary or not, but I literally said, I was like, you can control your dreams, right? Like I was like, you can totally do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I used to snap. So I was in my dream and I
So
was like, okay, I'm going to be in my night on my dream and I'm going to snap and the sound is going to wake me up. And then I'm going to then change whatever I'm dreaming. And I did it for years. So now I'm like, I wish I could do it again.
it's so wild. I love to hear that someone else did this because I kind of thought I made it up, honestly. Like I was like, maybe I didn't really do that. I
It's
don't
so
know.
powerful, right? Like I wish we could have more of a grip of that because I know that our dreams are also our subconscious mind telling us things. I get that totally. However, I do believe we go somewhere else, and I do believe we can travel, and like you're saying. So, um, but anyways, yeah, that's kind of like the root of all the things in terms of my abilities and why I wanted to learn, because and it's very interesting pair with human design because I transmit. Part of my mechanics is that. So I did not want to transmit only fear in regards to whatever beliefs I had or experiences I had. That doesn't mean I'm like completely done with fear and my kids don't fear my fear. That's not what I'm saying. But if I was conscious of something and I want to educate, which is also part of my design, if I want to transmit this and educate it, I'm not only educating with my voice or with my words, is my body is bringing that as well. So if I had something conscious, I wanted my children to, or any children to feel that in my body as well. Because your body says different things than just your words. You can say, oh, I'm okay, or, but are you really okay? I don't know.
Oh yeah. No, the kids know. They lately have been like, "Mommy, talk in the nice voice. Can you talk in the nice voice, not the mean voice?" And I'm like, "You could tell it's a different tone. It's a different energy, you know?
Yeah.
Like when I'm having to fuss nonstop, like I that is not a nice tone to
And
hear
you're
all
an
the
emotional
time."
authority too. So it's
Hmm.
something, yeah. So what about if I just say a few things about all of this human design stuff?
Oh yeah, I would love that. Anyone listening, I should preface this. If you don't know much about human design, I have other, episodes. Mar has definitely some resources for you, but essentially there are four human
Mhm.
design types. And I'll let you kind of maybe explain a little bit about each of them, but they're very different. And, I am a projector, so I always like to tell people I need more rest, but my energy is also penetrating and far more potent. I have a generator son who creates his own energy and, is a nonstop ball of energy compared to my other son, Rocky, who is also a projector. Which when we're done, we're done. Like we have a finite amount of energy and that's it. And then like we're capped
Mhm.
for the day. We have no manifesting generators in my family, but we do have a reflector, which is my husband, which I was telling Mar before we started recording. I know literally nothing about because I thought they were like magical human design fairies that didn't
Yeah.
exist, but they do.
And I'm
And
married to one.
I feel like yeah, I'm
Wow.
married to one, so I feel like I need to learn more
Yeah.
about them. But yeah, I would love for you to dive right in and just share more.
Yeah. So when I talk about human design or astrology or even Montessori, like everything in general, life is an experiment. So I look into things, I learn deeply, and because I am a manifesting generator, I take the essentials. I slow down because sometimes we tend to pivot too quick to the next thing and then we have to go back. But I really try to learn from great people and I have like so many books and manuals and things. Um, but I say take for you what resonates. And then if something doesn't resonate, just ask why, because in whichever way or form we're conditioned all the time by everything has energy, right? Even animals have their own little human design charts which are different than ours, so we're constantly influenced by other people and other beings. So um, it's good to sometimes just kind of pause and go, oh, why is this not really checking with me, and or is really this is not really for me at all. And I find that human design has a lot of repeating language, has a lot of layers of language. So they call it the keynote. So they're constantly building up. They interlace with each other. And so what I find is like very similar to mediumship. When you're reading for somebody, a word can mean something to somebody, and that same word can mean something very different to somebody else. So when I am receiving spirit and I'm like sharing a word with you, I am trying to translate that I receive because I have my own dictionary. So I find that human design is kind of the same. You have your own dictionary, and all they have their own dictionary. But sometimes like words don't feel good. Like for me, I'm a 4/6, and I think Sebastian is a 4/6, or Rocky. Rocky is a 4/6.
He might be. Yeah, it's like
He's a
one of
four
them I
six.
remember
He's a
is
opportunist role model. So when you think about that word, sometimes it feels like, oh, I'm an opportunist. That feels kind of weird. Or the network, right? The four is the network. Oh, like when I read for somebody, um, this guy was like, oh, that feels kind of odd to see the network. So it's what does that mean? Like we can start opening more what that would mean to you and what that really is. So when I share all these things, just bear in mind that you will find your own translation. Um, and we do have four types. The types in the profiles came later, uh, basically to make it more accessible to people, is what I understand. That did not that did
interesting. I
not
didn't know
really,
that.
like Ra did not have right in the beginning that. It was more of the substructure, which are the four arrows on the top. So type and profile came to make it more digestible for people to access the information, which makes sense because if you look at a chart, there's so much. Like, I mean,
Those things are so confusing. It's like, what is like each little thing means a thing, but it does the layers piece like spoke perfectly to me because really it can go deeper and deeper, and the more that you get into it, the more you will understand and the more you will uncover. And I also love the disclaimer about like your own verbiage, but also what's going to resonate and not. Because I remember the very first human design reading I got from someone, they told me I was supposed to be taking naps. And I literally laughed at her. Like, I was like, yeah, right. Like, I have enough energy. Like, what are you talking about? But I was so out of alignment with my design. I was drinking so much coffee. Like, I was like going against my energy that felt like really far fetched to me until later when I started to live more of my design. And then it was like, oh, actually, okay, that makes sense. So absolutely, there'll be pieces of it that, maybe resonate or don't. And then as you live your design, as you begin to walk that walk, then hey, the spiral helps you uncover that actually, oh, that
yes.
does make sense. Especially for my energy
Yes,
type
yes,
or
yes.
whatever.
So, and one important thing to know, I find that we're just sharing like basic information, but important information is that this is a mix of the I Ching or I Ching, astrology, the tree of life. This is all mixed together. And what this system talks about is that we are shifting, and also all the philosophy of the centers, right? The I can't remember the proper name right now of the just the chakra system, the seven centers. So for this system, for human design system, now we're in a nine center being, which changed when Uranus was discovered. Uranus, I'm going to say it like my mentor says. Uranus was discovered. And so we changed into nine center beings. So two of the centers, which if I'm correct is the solar plexus, and oh my goodness, I can remember. Solar plexus became the ego, which is the heart center, and the solar plexus. And what is the other one? I can't remember. But the other one became the spleen and the G center. So it's split in two. Yeah. And I think
Oh.
these things, this is when my MG kind of, because these things are important because then you start putting the pieces together. Okay, so we're seven centers, but how did this thing become nine? And that's how they're putting it together. Um, so now, well, talking about the types, I think it's a very important introduction because it tells you how people perceive you right away. So if you have, if you're a generator type, you are like a warm hug. That's what people say. I mean, I'm a generator type. I don't know. Am I a warm hug?
You are definitely a warm hug. I was like, my 6-year-old going on 16-year-old is not a warm hug sometimes, but he can
Yeah,
be.
so
He
it's an
can be.
energy that feels open and enveloping. That's what it says. Like right? That's like an open, and you're like, okay. The manifestor one, I live with a manifestor. It's a clothes repelling aura. I mean, I love my husband, but it is like, I think of him as a bulldozer. So it goes like it doesn't, and he's a Taurus. Like you're a Taurus too, right? And
I am. Oh my God. I feel so sorry for
but
you
it is
with
like,
that energy.
and he's a 9 center, 8 center defined being. So just another topic. So it makes it hard, and I'm going to talk about like why would I like to say about each type in terms of for children, if you have a manifestor child, if you have a generator child. So, but let me just explain, like the reflector, which is your husband, is a being that has resistant and is sampling life because they have no centers defined. So basically, that's why they have to wait for 28. It says here 29.5 days, 28 days, a lunar cycle.
I know, he's so indecisive. Like when we figured this out, I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this makes so much sense. Like he takes forever to make a decision. But now I'm like, okay, that's okay. Like take your
Yes.
cycle to make the decision, but maybe let me decide dinner, because that's not gonna. I can't take
And
28
that's
days
very
for you to
good
decide
point that you
dinner,
brought,
please.
because it is going to be for like big decisions, like the same with the projector and the invitation, right? Like I feel like, again, like there's so many nuances, and so when you get into human design or any philosophy or modality, you're just learning the overview, and then you start looking at the nuances of what that means. Like you're not supposed to wait for like an invitation for everything, or what I understand, what I read, and what I believe and resonates in my body, right? It doesn't make sense. But going back to the reflectors, so they're sampling, and I find it fascinating when a teacher, my mentor, was like emphasizing this of like, because they have the transit, so they are sampling that. So they are the only ones out of all the 4 types who are designed to become something that they are not. So they're good actors and actresses.
I mean, yeah, my husband has a really good poker face, like real stone cold. Like, and he's a Virgo, so like to get him to talk about his emotions, like forget it. You're like pulling teeth.
Yeah, but you become a little bit of whatever is around you. So they need a lot of time alone. That's another thing that I was reading. Can I be myself are the questions. Who am I to do what? Who am I today? Because it's confusing, right? It's confusing if you are not, because even though they have the white centers, right, defined and undefined, so and open. These are 3 different things, please, because I see all this all the time, so confused out there in social media. So open is when you have no gates around. It's completely like no color at all. Undefined is when you have a little gate, right? A little tails, I call it. And defined is when you have color inside. So the reflectors are going to have gates. They're going to have undefined, and they probably will have open centers as well, right? But they're constantly more intimately affected by the environment and the transits and the planets and the people they are around. Because when we have the centers open or undefined, we are amplifying other defined centers, which is a big thing I wanted to say today about kids, and especially we have emotional authority, so we have a head defined, and there's a lot of pressure, and or an ego defined, like I have an ego defined. So I have permanency when we have defined centers. We have permanency to that, but the others don't. So the others that have undefined, like I have undefined things, you do, like, so.
Yeah, like Rocky's chart is so undefined. I actually got a little nervous. Like I was like, is he going to be Like, are people gonna be able to sway him to like do whatever because his chart is like so open that child
But
will
he's
do
a
whatever
mental
you want?
projector.
Like,
I find that.
oh yeah, so go back
I'm
and
sorry. I'm
explain.
like
Okay, we're gonna
saying
like
too many
meander a
things.
little bit because we'll come back. No, I know, but I did want to better understand because as an emotional projector, and I feel like a lot of the projectors I know are emotional. I better understanding my emotional wave was huge for me because I would make decisions at the height of my emotional wave, and then I'd be like, oh shit, I really don't want to do that, or like, like why did I say yes or no to that? What is the difference with a mental projector? That is he still following any
No,
kind of emotional wave or
no.
no?
So what I would say,
Okay.
but the most important thing for me, I want to say two things that are very important for any parents out there or any people just in relationships and just, you don't have to, you don't have to have kids. Like this is just important. The first thing you need to do is look at your authority. That's the most important thing you need to do. Yes, the type matters, but that's not how you start living your design according to the system. You live your design by really understanding your authority. And then things start kind of changing and shifting. Another thing that I find is very important that I really want to bring and land it is what are your defined and undefined or open centers? And you start having a relationship with that and taking responsibility for that as well. Because even if you have defined centers, you can be in the not self goal, in the shadow of it. Doesn't matter if you have it defined, but you are. That's why there's so much baggage with the emotional center because how have we been relating to our emotions before? And right, we're still conditioning from that definition.
Oh, absolutely. And like I think about I have a defined throat, but I think about when I was in my not self, when I was bitter at my job that didn't see me, that I was like, being like, look at me instead of waiting for the invitation. My words were harsh. Like I remember having a really hard conversation with a former boss, like about the work environment, and I didn't sugarcoat it and I wasn't very nice about it. And like it was not what I should have done. But to your exact point, like just because my center was defined,
But you were not being,
it could still
but you were not,
it could
yes,
still go either
exactly. And
way.
also you were not recognized probably. Because part of the,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
I'm going to
absolutely.
go,
No, I
sorry,
wasn't
because
at
I'm
all.
going all over the
At all.
place, but part of the projector is you have focus and absorbing energy. That's why you need rest. Because you go through the energy, right? A reflector, because I was trying to like, what's the difference really? A reflector feels everything because it's so open, right? Feels, and sometimes they can, I was reading, they feel the pain of other people deeply. So, and they're constantly telling you, reflecting back, what's the family doing?
Oh yeah. When I learned that, I was like, oh, so you're reflecting my shitty behavior back to me.
Basically.
Like,
Of all
cool.
of the interaction. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. So what's the
You
environment
know?
doing?
Yeah. No, I can tell. I mean, the days that like the kids are cranked or whatever, like he is like the barometer. And if he's getting cranked up, it's interesting now though to realize he needs more alone time. I mean, he says it all the time that he needs it, and he does go take like trips where he goes hiking and goes to mountains and he's like very alone. But I'm laughing because I'm like, my poor kids, both of their parents need like rest and alone time, and like we have no
But it
help
would be a
here.
good thing
Like
to, but it would
I
be
was
a
like,
good
oh,
thing
no wonder.
to keep building for them, especially for your little projector. Even for, I'm going to talk about that. I mean, if I have time, maybe we need 3 podcasts here, but it's like so much to say. But yeah, so another thing I want to say about the projectors is like it's important for them to be active in the community because that's how they learn about themselves and what's in their environment. For them to have the right environment is so important and the right people around them.
That really resonates. This last year, I've actually, I mean, just even since the beginning of the year in January, I keep thinking it's like 2025. It's 2026. It's almost March. Um, but I did in January, I signed up for all these like in-person like networking things because I just was like, this feels so good to be in person with other people, to be in community, to be having conversations, to yeah, to like not be just holding up inside my house by myself. I also have I'm a 1-4, so the 4 is like also very much like needing to network and be in,
Yeah.
in community
And
with
that was more
others
for
for
the
sure.
reflectors. However, this is more like also the reflectors need this. Reflectors need to go, and they do
Mm.
need alone time, but however, they need to, what I understand is if they're in community and they're active, they also learn and are able to walk through their lunar cycle with all this sampling. They need to sample. Like think about equal sampling, right? So even if
Mm.
your husband goes outside and goes for hikes and trips, and he's in and he's in connection and relationship with that environment, right? For projectors, for you, as we're talking about focus and absorbing, and I find that one of the big things that I see in friends that I have that are projectors, because your signature is bitterness and success. You're the only type that has the success part, right? And it's also about feeling successful. And I find that these words are, me as a generator, am I satisfied or am I frustrated? And you can say, am I feeling bitter? Am I feeling successful right now with my life, with what I'm doing? Those are really important questions to ask for type. And you get to know yourself through others. So the generators is like, I just want to know who I am. The projectors are like, who are you? And will I be recognized? Because as I start learning about
Mm.
you, I learn about me.
This makes so much sense. But I love this because it is true. I feel like I thought maybe it was a bit of my Gemini rising, and maybe it's a bit of both, but I do feel like I can have like a conversation with someone and it sparks like a realization for me, or it sparks like this thing in me that I need to go do, or an action I need to take, or what have you. Like, I'm always inspired by the people around me or my environment or what's happening. And I feel like I am the most creative when I'm interacting with other people. And I have that like
Yeah.
material almost to draw from. And I had someone once tell me like it was a bad thing, like not that I was like copying people, but I don't know, she had an idea and she was like, you basically want to do the same thing. And I was like, but I don't, because it's my energy and it's different. Um, but it's nice to
Yeah.
know that like that's a real thing. And it's not just me like absorbing and trying to put it back out there. I like absorb it,
And there's
make it
so
my
many
own little
layers to that.
magic,
Like
and
if
then
I,
like put it back out there.
Gemini rising, yes, for sure. I'm a Gemini rising too. Yes. Is your 4 line 2? Is your
Yeah,
5
I
because
remember
you're
that.
looking for patterns and you're making it practical? So there's so many things that would resonate, yes, with what you're saying, and it's just so nice that you can recognize it. But and one thing that I want to say is it's so important, and I do this with all my projector friends, to to recognize, to be recognized by the right people, not the force recognize, not like when I told you, you look great. I meant it because I know what it means. I've said something to your voice, like you,
Oh.
like it has to be authentic. It doesn't have to be like fake. But when you are surrounded by people who recognize you, who see you as a projector of who you are for your gifts, then the right invitation comes. Right invitations also come, right? And what I wanted to say about the invitation is that you don't wait for an invitation for like, what am I going to have for breakfast? It's more like love, career, moving to another place, like big decisions in your life. That's when you're like, I need to wait for the invitation. So this is when I'm going to tie, if you have a projector child, okay? So what is important for, they are the 21% of the population. This is, I mean, an estimate from this manual that I'm reading. I don't know if this is true today, but it is the data they give. So it's important to have the right audience. And I think about children, it's important to have the right friends, you know, the right people. And who can help you with that? Your parents, to just ask questions about the people around you, and because are they recognizing you, are they seeing you? So another thing that is important is that your parents recognize your gifts. So you feel empowered in that. So you know what they are. So when you go as an adult into the world, you're like, this is me. And I have been recognized. And yeah, and then I develop those skills, gifts, abilities that I have. Again, coming from a true place, right? Not a fake place. And
Yeah. Oh, all I can think is I'm ruining my poor child. No, Rocky's very sensitive. I mean, my Cancer sun, Aries moon, that little boy is a lot of emotion. But I know some days we're like, okay, stop crying, stop emoting. But I need to let him. I need to let him feel it. I need to not label it as bad. Like, it's okay. But there's definitely some childhood rewiring there from when I was told that,
that's an
I should stop
emotional.
crying and all of that, even though I was
Yes,
feeling
yes, yes.
everything as an
So,
emotional
yeah, and
projector,
that's the gift of parenting. I feel like we're conscious parents, not perfect parents. We just pull in as things come in, and then we go,
Yes.
oh, okay, now I can see this thread, and I can do something about it and be gentle with myself. But going back to the child, the projector child, what can you do? You want them to recognize the power of being themselves. I mean, every single child, you want that, right? But the word recognition, like, is such a big thing for me in terms of what I see later on affecting us in your adulthood, right? Like, really, truly being recognized, and maybe a little bit over the top, because that's what you need. Now, well, the reflector, I think we talked plenty, but really let them operate at their own pace, help them wait for that lunar cycle for major decisions, making sure that they have the right environment, the people, that they have alone time, and understand that they're sampling. They're really sampling more than you can think. And that they might feel like, oh, who am I today? I don't know. And can we make that right? Because we are designed to always know who you are. You're supposed to know your purpose and who you are and blah, blah, blah. And, like, well, I don't know. Let's just do it. No.
I bet I'll figure it out.
For the manifestor child, I'm just laughing because I have a manifestor husband. So they have an energy that feels different than the other energies. That's what this I was reading, because they have like a repelling, like, closed aura. They are not an open aura. So you're gonna be like, oh, this feels different as a parent, and so just catch yourself with that, because again, we're transmitting everything, right? When somebody comes in the room and they are powerful, especially if their energy is powerful, they're meant to initiate. They make an impact. They don't care so much about who am I, who's the other. No, there's like, what I'm here to do. And my husband is an Aries moon, so it's like, I'm just gonna go. And what happens if we don't help them since childhood is that they're not gonna inform you of anything, and that's their default. They're just gonna go. They just go. I mean, I see it.
They're just gonna go do it.
Like, what? Where are we going? Like, if this is the thing. So I love, when I was reading this, I loved it so much. So when they're young adults or in their youth, that you need to help them ask for permission. And that will go against their being, because we know, like, I don't want to ask for permission. Like, I'm just going to initiate. It's the only type that can initiate. So, but that is the foundation for, like, later informing as an adult. So when they are younger, you need to teach them to ask for permission, knowing that mostly you're going to say yes, unless it's not safe, right? Unless it's not safe. But that's what you need to kind of tell them, like, know that they need more freedom of movement, more freedom, and that you're going to be monitoring it. But they can just say, hey, mom, or hey, dad, I really want to, build a fort out here. I don't know. Climb this tree. And then you're like, okay.
I'll climb this tree.
So they need to know you're going to say mostly yes, unless it's like I just want to jump off this balcony, like, something crazy. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And for the generators, it's always about listening to their sounds.
Okay, so you were mentioning this, and I've tried to notice if Sebastian makes specific sounds. Like he does when he's frustrated, I guess. Like I do kind of hear like growls and things like that. I also growl when I'm frustrated, so I don't know if that's. Will the other day was like, wow, it was sounding really primal in there. And I was like, yeah, because I was growling instead of screaming at them. But so I don't. Explain more of that to me,
No.
because is it that they make like
So thank you for
repetitive
asking that
sounds,
question
or
because,
is it
again,
how his body
influences,
processes?
right? So
Okay.
is your child like in my case, right? I have a pure generator and an emotional manifesting generator. So I listen.
Oh
No,
shit!
no,
Is
no.
Sebastian an emotional manifesting
Okay,
generator,
I have that. Sebastian is a
or is he
pure
just a
generator.
generator?
3-5. Rocky is a mental projector.
Okay, just a pure
4-6.
generator. Okay, cool.
They both have single definition, which is also important to know. So, so many things. That's what I'm telling you. It's like, oh, bunch of things. But for this point, so not everybody is gonna make the like that kind of like like all these little sounds of like I don't know like that kind of thing. You know, like when they don't want to do. It's like their body is telling
They're
them.
processing
So
almost.
not
Like,
everybody's
okay.
gonna make those sounds, maybe, right? But you need to start paying attention. What are the sounds that he's making, if he's making any sounds, like, or maybe he's sighing, like, and also, what I do with my son is with Santiago, I just say, what's your body pulling you for, right? Because there's a response. So it's like sometimes it feels like just moving your body forward. Because when you're young, you don't really, I mean, you don't know much about how emotions, like not even the title of emotion. It's more like, oh, what are you feeling in your belly? What is more of like a somatic perspective of like, where do I feel in my body right now? Something. And me is when I tie astrology, and I always look at their moon. So, because in my case, my son has a Gemini moon, I use that because it's intellect, so it's stories, and so I do that. I play with asking yes and no questions. That's a big one for me. I also try to ask. I looked at I was looking at this reel from this human design person, really big. I can't remember her name. I think Teresa Rivera or something. So she was talking about giving something to her child to respond, and I had the same thing with the tree, with like the reel that I posted outside that Santiago was like breaking it, and so when I posted the question yes or no, he was like, ugh. But I knew as his mother, because again, you have to be, you are the mother, you're with them. Like, I knew this would be super satisfying for him. Like, I just knew it because I know my son. So he was like, oh no, and then I just was like, maybe if I just take him upstairs and he sees the tree, and then I tell him that this needs to happen inevitably. So I said, well, here's a tree, and we have to break it anyways, and he's like, oh, like it was like, okay, yes, exactly. So sometimes
more
it's not
excited
that you
now.
want to push, but you want to reframe it again, play with the words, play it because your body needs to respond, and sometimes you're not. Your mind, you have to be so careful, right? Your mind is going to decide, oh no, I don't want to do that. Is it your mind or is it your body? So if you take the experience in front, then your body will go, oh yeah, or no, it will be a confirmation. Does that make sense?
Yes, no, that makes total sense. And it helps because we've been asking Sebastian more yes or no questions, but I've been taking like his first initial answer as like his answer, because I was like, well, if he's sacral, like he knows immediately. But this sounds like you're just double checking with the body. You're just like, okay, is it really your number one answer, or is there a different answer? I like that a lot, because I was actually arguing with my husband about it this morning, because he wanted to confirm again with the kids whether they wanted to do soccer or t-ball, and I was like, well, Sebastian already told us, like I don't want to ask him again because then we're overriding his sacral. But I like that we can ask again and see how his body reacts, and if we need to ask different ways, and
they sometimes,
that way we get to the true answer versus because he is so smart. He overrides with his brain.
Yeah, so
like,
that's
immediately.
also that's
He's a
important to
Capricorn
know,
moon, so.
and that sometimes they might they can hesitate, and they don't know. So then, can I ask in a different way? Can I ask something else? Can I post a different question? Can I bring an image? Can I, right? And it's okay if they don't have the response right away. The body responds that overrides the mind. I do that a lot. I feel like to have a generator type child, you have to have a lot of fun with the questions. Sometimes like, I don't want you to ask me more questions. And I go, okay. So another, right? Like, because I also don't like it. So I'm like, okay, great. Okay, I'm not going to ask more questions. And he's older, he's 9. So you're in a different stage. But just playing these games, right, with, is your mind responding right now? Can you, because they feel it. And it's like, even like your hand here and your head, your ajna, right? Is your gut, what is choosing? Can you feel that in your body? With little things like a book, or I did teas with them, but that was from cognition. Like things like that. So they start kind of understanding the difference between my body and my mind responding. Yes? Are you kidding me?
Because if we had learned that, oh my gosh, at their age, are you kidding me? We'd be such like emotionally intelligent adults. Like, I mean, we are now, but like, I feel like it just, man, maybe I wouldn't have strayed so far.
I just want to say something about the emotional. Important as an emotional authority person, even if you're a generator, or you could be a manifestor with emotional authority, right? Like, yeah, my husband is an emotional manifestor. So, you mentioned the wave, and now we all have different types of waves according to the channel that defines the emotional, which is 2 centers link each other by a channel. Right? They say hi to each other, and each channel has a different circuitry. And for instance, yours is tribal, like mine, and yours is synthesis. That's how you are in your defined and emotionally. So what does that mean? A tribal channel is about support. And it's about exchange. There's resources, and in your case there's a lot of fantasy in it. That channel has a lot of that very kind of like, look at your latest photos, the ones that you did long ago, that they're like so magical in the forest. I'm like, now that I look at it, it's like, that's her synthesis channel. And
I'm gonna have a photo shoot next week too, and I'm like, oh my god, that's gonna be so fun.
And for those channels, the tribal channels, I have the community. That's my channel, community channel that goes into the ego center. Yours go to the root center, to the emotional center, and so it's about touch as well. It has a keynote of touch. So I find that for me to process, or when I'm in my wave, I ask for hugs. I ask for touch. I'm like, as my Taurus, very grounding husband in so many ways, to like help me ground myself, because I have a lot of air, and so like just ground me so I can just actually cry my emotions. So I can actually, because sometimes I'm in my head, or I'm into like mama mode constantly. And so I need something that helps me process my authority. Why? Because otherwise, the emotional authority is water. So we retain water otherwise. So we need to cry it, sweat it, do something to get this water out of you. I mean, replenish it as well. Drink your water, everyone. But
no, but again, like, this just makes so much sense, because my first love language is words of affirmation, but my second is physical touch. And it's really good to know that it's how I process. And it's interesting because I've told my husband, I'm like, sometimes I don't feel close to you unless like we have physically touched throughout the day. Like if you don't hug me all day, I feel like we haven't seen each other in 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds absurd, but that's really how I feel,
Yeah.
especially like emotionally. Like, I'll be like,
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
10,
But
10 million miles away from
this
you
is why
emotionally if you
I
haven't
find
kissed me
that,
today.
again, I'm
Like,
telling you these
forget it.
things and I'm inviting you to try it out because there's so much playing into the mechanics. So, but that has helped me to anchor it together to like, oh, this is, and we both, he's also tribal. So we both, and we're like a Venus couple, right? Because he's a Taurus, I'm a Libra. So it's like, we need that kind of like anchoring, a hug, more than other ways to communicate. That's our strength. That's how I find it wouldn't be in a strength if I was not aware of it, you know? So, and another thing is we think that the reflectors wait for a lunar cycle and it's a lot, but emotionals can wait for a long time for clarity. If you really are really not playing it here, because there's a difference. It almost feels like your soul is choosing, your higher self is choosing. In this training that I took with Raquel, my mentor, she calls us the dragon riders, and I love it because we're on the dragon and we're riding the wave. We're not the dragon though. We're the riders of the dragon. So it goes whoosh, right? And every channel has a special wave. So some channels go up and down and then they flatten. Some channels are like plateau and then open, and you and I are like go up and down, and up, and then we go down and up and down. And so we tend to be annoyed by things a little bit. We're like annoyed and you're like, I'm not going to say it. Okay, I'm going to let it go until you're like done with it. It's like, you're like done with it. And because of the touch component,
yes. Oh my God, yes.
There's explosion. And so how are we doing that? It's not wrong for us to explode and feel angry with that those channels, but it's just being mindful of how yin do we do it, how we contain it, and if we just really demonstrate, because we also are affecting the people around us, because in your case, nobody else is emotional. And you are the only person, and I don't mean to like make you feel bad about it.
No, I know, but it's so true. Like when you say it like that, I'm like, you're right. Cause like I'm the one, like I'll be sitting on the floor crying about something. And I'm like, my kids probably think mommy, all she does is cry.
It's so important to have a healthy emotional center right now, because when we do the shift of 2027, that's going to be part of the background frequency. There's, and the emotional center is, the kids who are born in the emotional center are going to have, it's a motor and an awareness center. The only center that is a motor and an awareness center, both. It is the only motor. So such an important center. So what we're doing now, waiting for the wave and the clarity, they're not going to have. We have to go through that and kind of train the muscle, I feel. Yeah, they're doing something
are we
else.
training the body so that their bodies don't have to do it?
What I do, like, what I have learned is to like, where's my wave at today? I'm at a 4. Today I'm actually at a 7. So I'm from 0 to 10. Where am I? And I use that vocabulary with my family. You know, I'm at a low right now, and because I have an emotional authority child, I say that to her. I ask her those questions. I model it and I ask it, and then I go with her. You take your time to process. Take your time, because Santiago will be like, oh, and she'll be like, I don't know. And Santiago has to define G center. She doesn't, right? So she quickly is going to adopt a little bit of what he's saying, right? So it's I know these things. So I'm like, you take your time to process, sweetie. There's no need for you to rush. And she's like, okay, mama. She feels so good of like, right? So giving those little tips to our emotional little people and ourselves. Now we cannot teach something we don't it's so hard to help our children when we ourselves are not yet digesting this information. I find that the best thing you can do, if you're really keen into like human design, is to you do it for you first. Start doing like living your authority first. What is my authority? What does that mean? What is it that I don't like about this? what makes sense, and just start giving yourself time for that, because then from that place you can actually teach and you can actually guide and you can actually do more of your aura, in your case, like penetrate and help and role model for your children more, right? So I think that's super important, super important.
Yeah. I love that. And I'm thinking of this, even an example of like one of my best friends, Daphne is a projector, but she, with her son, he wanted to have a conversation about menstruation. He was curious about what her feminine products were, but she waited to have it until he invited her to have the conversation. And she said it went so well. He's 10. And that like it was really great. And that by the end of it, he was like, Mom, oh my God, I'm so sorry what you go through. But like, I think about that because I'm like, wow, there's so much with Sebastian, especially, that I feel like I'm not as good at waiting for the invitation from him. And I try and force things on him. And it makes him go the opposite direction because he feels that penetrating energy and he's like, oh, no, 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 no. I don't want any of this. And sometimes I get upset because I'm like, oh, he likes his father more. He doesn't like me. But I also realize it's how I relate to him, and that like if I want that relationship to change, I have to be the one to change it. And, our kids are our biggest teachers. I can see where I'm perpetuating patterns from my childhood, and to your point, giving myself grace and noticing so that they can shift. But this just helps even more to better understand myself and my energy so that I can give to myself to then be able to give to them. I can't believe like this conversation has gone by so quick. We're going to have a second one. Absolutely. But is there anything else, like, I don't know, any last just thoughts, on human design for your children or a way to approach motherhood consciously that you think any, folks need to hear?
Be curious about who they are because they're already showing it to you. So, when we beat up ourselves because, we're not these parents, and I don't know, who is that parent? I don't know, nobody. We actually lack the gift of seeing our children. We spend more time sometimes just like going, oh, should I do this better? Or why did I do that? And I'm included in that combo, instead of really being present, which is what the systems do, all of them, including astrology, all of this, meditation, being in the now is the hardest thing to do. And I'm going to say the biggest exercise we can do is to use the mind, not to make decisions, but to communicate, to teach, to be creative, and to process. So when you're interacting with your children, put the mind as like it gathers, it stores information. Like I tell my children, you're not your mind, you're not your body, right? So your mind is used for you to store. Great if you have receptive mind, passive mind, receptive or strategic, different ways, but that's not who chooses. So when you're interacting with your children, be more in your heart, be more in your playfulness. And when you're not, just say, I'm not, I'm not, and not today. I'm at a low. So what? I'm going to be at my low, everybody. I'm at a 2, and I better go because whomever is amplifying me, you're going to feel it 10 times more than me. So I'm just going to do whatever I need to do for myself. And I'm not going to understand why. That's another thing. Doesn't matter why. That's where you're at. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that. Thank you for giving everyone permission.
No.
Because all of us always want to know why. And we don't always need to. And we can just be with what
pleasure.
is. So thank you so much, Mar, for this beautiful conversation. We're going to put all of her information in the show notes, guys, so that you can get human design readings for your families, because it is one of the most helpful things I have ever done to just get our family to work better as a unit and to better understand each other and to really be the best mom that I can be for my kids, to better understand them and be curious. And if we leave you with nothing else, let these next couple of weeks be an experiment. Let yourself have fun and try and fail and try again, and know that that's absolutely okay and what we should do as parents. So Thank you so much for listening, guys. If you have loved this conversation, please like, rate, subscribe, review, share it with another woman who needs to hear it. I can't wait to be with you again next week. Thanks so much for
Bye.
being here. Be good to one another. I love you guys. Mwah.